Good morning, folks. Welcome back to another Espresso Deck Shorts. And today we're going to be looking at the Aeropress. So I have the sort of three components here with the filter holder. Of course you need filters. And it comes with some other items, but these are just the three we need today. And so we're going to do an Aeropress, sort of how a regular Aeropress, and then what they call an inverted Aeropress. And there's a couple things to note about the Aeropress. One of them is that they've been making this brewer for a very long time, and the plastic that's made out of will not really leach into your drink. They've kind of perfected that science. The other thing to note is that not all filters are created equal. Today I'm going to be using Acer filters, which is they're a competition grade filter made for the Aeropress. I believe they make some other ones for V60 and whatnot as well. Just a really consistent thickness of paper, because sometimes what you get is a filter where the paper is thinner in one part and thicker in the other, and obviously that's going to lead to irregularities in extraction. Some other things you might need, a thermometer if you don't have a kettle with variable temperature. So I just have a regular old click to boil kettle at home, so I'm just going to use a thermometer. Check the temperature of my water. Your coffee, a little stir spoon would be good. Aeropress comes with a stir stick, so I'd recommend using that if you still have it around. That's about it. So let's get into it. We're going to grab our mug. Now you want a nice thick-walled mug, right? This is kind of like your standard thickness kind of diner mug. I have an example of a glass here that would also work. This is quite a thick-walled glass with a pretty heavy-set base. And over here is a glass that would not be great. Obviously thin wall, and this goes for mugs too. And then a tapered base. So as you're pressing down, there's the possibility that that's going to come off balance, and you don't want that because you're dealing with almost boiling water. So just keep in mind the mug you're sort of pressing into. But we're going to get started here. So we got our coffee. I pre-weighed this coffee. Oops. So it should be about 15 grams. Let's see if we're on the money. 15.4, pretty close. I'm going to grind this. I'm going to grab my hot water, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to grab our filter, put it in our filter holder. I'm going to wet this just a little bit so that it sticks. You also want to rinse out any papery taste that might come with your filter. Lock it in, put that one on the Aeropress. Tear our scale. Okay, so we're going to add in our coffee. And of course this is almost the third time we're checking the weight. But that's okay. We can be precise. Great, 15 grams, and I'm going to check my water. 175. Let's try with the probe. Ooh, probe says almost 200. That's a bit hotter than what I want it. I'm looking for about 197 Fahrenheit, which is translates to about 92 degrees Celsius. This is about a medium dark roast coffee, so we definitely want a bit of a lower temperature. Maybe get rid of some. Oh, 197.5. I'm happy with that. All right. And so then we're just going to tear at our. I'm adding 15 grams of coffee and 250 mils of water. There we go. Oh, 256, that's okay. Grab your stirring device, give it a little stir. You want to make sure there's no dry spots in here. Then we want to take it off our scale, if we're using a scale. Grab our plunger, and this will just fit in, and then we're going to push down with an even amount of force. We want a consistent push. It doesn't have to be really hard. It doesn't have to be really soft. You just want it consistent. You don't want to be sort of jerky when you're pushing down your plunger, because you want that pressure to be applied consistently. It gives you the best chance of not having kind of a channel form or what have you. You hear that little hiss at the end? That means we're all the way done. Some people prefer not to extract to the hiss. I find it's really up to your own. You can do it or you cannot do it. I wouldn't say one is worse than the other. The argument is that there's some bitterness there at the end of your brew. And that could be true. But for an AeroPress, usually I'm traveling, so I'm not sort of, I'm not competing, right? And I know there are people who compete with AeroPress. It's a very popular brewer to compete with. Okay, the cleanup, this is the really nice part. So you got your press, take off the cap. It's gonna be a little hot, so watch out. There's your filter. Underneath your filter is a compressed puck of coffee. So we're just gonna go to our compost bin or knockbox, and we're gonna push it out here. Done. And then we're gonna give this a little rinse, just a couple seconds out of the tap. We'll be right back. All done. Put our filter back on. And you might be thinking, well, what about in there where the coffee was, in that plunger? Well, while you plunged your AeroPress, the tightness of the seal, the silicone gasket there, actually sort of squeegeed the edges of the plunger. Probably not the correct term, but anyway, it's going to be clean in there. And now it's clean over there, and now we're in business. So that would be your regular AeroPress. Now we're going to do a inverted AeroPress, and so we'll do that one now. I'm just going to grind my second amount of coffee. Put this on. Ah, 15.3, we're pretty good. All right, I'll be right back after I finish grinding this. Okay, back again. So you know the drill. We're gonna get our AeroPress, get the filter in there, wet it a little bit. Now here's the trick. We're gonna take our plunger. See these numbers on the side here? I'll put them upright. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna put our AeroPress plunger in already, preemptively, if you will. I'm gonna put it right about the 4, real close to the end there, and then upside down on our scale. This is called inverted AeroPress. So then we get our coffee, add our coffee. $15 grams, tear our scale, and now we're going to start the timer. Just add our coffee in here. This would be a lot similar to, well, it's an immersion brew. So like a French press, or I guess a Hario, or not a Hario, like a Clever Dripper or a Hario Switch brewer, one of those immersion brew V60 devices. Can we get all the water in there? Ah, pretty close. So we got all our water in there. I'm going to wait about a minute, and then I'm going to give it a stir. And then we're going to wait another perhaps 2 minutes, so 3 minutes total brew time. And what's happening right now is the water and the coffee are hanging out together. So when you do a traditional AeroPress, you're pressing the water through the coffee. That's kind of how it works. But when you do an immersion AeroPress, or an inverted AeroPress rather, the coffee and the water hang out together. Immersion brewing, like the French press, is just kind of more efficient at getting flavor. It just is, because it's got more time to spend with the coffee, it's got more time to hang out. So we're giving this a little stir, and you want to be pretty careful, because this can get pretty full, like you see mine is here. So then we're just going to wait until about 3 minutes, and we'll have this footage sort of fast forwarded right up until this hits 3 minutes. Okay folks, so we're nearing 3 minutes here, and one thing you might have noticed is that I didn't measure the water when I poured it in, like I did for the regular AeroPress. And that's because we're doing an immersion brew, the water's going to cool down as it sits here. Plastic is a great thermal insulator, so it's not going to cool down all that much, but still I want to preserve as much temperature as I could. So right off the boil, I put the water in there. Alright, so 3 minutes up, we're going to grab our filter in filter holder. We're going to attach this. Oh. There we go. And then we're going to grab our glass, and this part's a little tricky, don't burn yourself, but you're putting your glass on top, grabbing your AeroPress, quick flip, there we go, and plunge through. Again, consistent pressure. We don't want kind of any erratic pressing, AeroPressing maneuvers. And that's the end of it. Get our little knock box here. Little shake. Again, thunk. Super easy. This one got a little dirtier. Again, a couple seconds of rinse. I'll be right back. Like new, filter holder on. This baby goes back into your cupboard or drawer or wherever you keep it, your travel bag if you have one. And then there's our immersion brewed Aeropress. Just like that. And that is kind of the two basic ways to make an Aeropress. There's so much, there's so many tips and tricks and so much culture surrounding this particular brewer, just because it's been so popular for such a long time. There's renowned competitions about it. So if you're kind of looking for something that's a little exciting and something that's kind of spice up your Aeropress recipes, you can always check out the competitions. They usually post a recipe of, you know, the winner or one of the competitors, and you can mimic that recipe at home. And often they're going to use pretty down-to-earth equipment, right? It's just going to be a technique of water temperature or pressing technique or what have you, or maybe separating it. But then like the grinder, you know, I've seen competition runner-ups or winners with the Baratza Encore, which is a very affordable conical burr grinder. So it's a really nice down-to-earth competition that allows you to explore coffee recipes that you may not otherwise know about or have the inclination to do so. And that's all for this one. We'll see you in the next one, folks, and thanks so much for watching.